It is a simple task, however, because our role, I guess, is to land the discussion from policy down into practice. So this half an hour, or maybe less, is intended to make precisely this bridge. In so doing, I would like to basically start by offering a couple of messages. Before that, let me say also, Reinhilde, thanks so much about your conduct of business for the preceding panel. I found it extremely interesting. We read your papers about the missing jollies. So the EIT is maybe not the solution for everything, but it's very much focused on the core of the problem. In other words, narrowing down this innovation gap, which is explained by the missing companies which do not become world-class. So thanks again for being here. You have noticed also from the presentation of the chairman in the morning, we take your research very seriously. So thank you for showing up. So in landing from policy briefs down into the practice and the operations that we do together with our KICs, I basically have two messages to offer. First of all, that if the KICs are innovation factories, the EIT overall is an innovation policy factory, because we indeed want to create new models and new approaches to spur innovation. The second message is that to make this happen, we operate also innovatively for what concerns the governance. We are very far away from traditional interaction between administration and the beneficiary. We very much see ourselves as facilitators so that the KICs can develop their whole potential. So it is all about this communities-driven innovation. In other words, we don't take the approach top-down to add more coordination efforts, to tell beneficiaries what they should be doing or not doing. We basically take a humble starting point to say the communities, please co-create with us new schemes to make innovation happen through the knowledge dynamics which are particular of your community. This slide that you are seeing is not us, is not ours. This is coming precisely from this report that was mentioned before, The Power of Simplicity from Ernst & Young. It has been published in May with no formal support from the EIT, I must say, but of course you can understand how pleased we are, because we are like every organization wants to see itself in the middle of the world. But this is not published by us, again. It's in that logic how to make the European innovation landscape simpler. And our approach is, again, not to add more administration, but quite the opposite, to give the voice to communities. And they create the schemes and they align agendas at national, European level. So you see, it's a very unique setup, and it comes with a bit strong conviction from our side and a strong commitment to the project. The second message, again, this innovative governance has to do with the way we interact with the KICs, which is the second slide. Again, we don't control, because you can hardly control, by the way, just offering 25%. So we facilitate the progress of the KICs. And in order to do this, of course, the KICs are established as legal entities. They have their governance. The partners rule the game. But we from the EIT, of course, want to offer added value. And the EIT interacts with the KICs twice per year, in the end of the year, for what concerns the grant allocation, mid of the year to consult, and this, in fact, would happen this Wednesday for the first time. In streamlining our interaction, which is, again, not the traditional administrator-beneficiary relationship, but very much a partnership, we have set up also with KIC CEOs so-called forum, where we are equals, we talk about areas of common interest, and we are going indeed through issues of relevance, like monitoring of results, the simplification of our operations, and not the least important, dissemination, because indeed EIT is about Europe. We work with the KICs for Europe. So whatever the KICs should do, should put at work, and we should disseminate, and this is a part of our institutional remit for the EIT, should be disseminated widely, should be put at work before and beyond the perimeters of the KICs. It is important for us, of course, to offer benefits to all member states and to in general, all talented individuals. And in order to do this, we again take the learnings from the KICs, but we expect, of course, policymakers to embed these new innovation models as part of their national and possibly European approaches. With this, I think I provide an introduction, and it's now my pleasure to very much invite one by one of the real protagonists in this panel, which are the innovation practitioners and leaders of the three communities. So we start this time with the ladies. Mary, you are the first to speak for Climate Kick.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here at this EIT conference. And I was going to say that the KICs, it's a little bit like being in a family and being siblings, and we do collaborate a lot, but we compete as well. And then hearing Jose Manuel say he doesn't tell us what to do, well, like any family, I think that for a parent that would be rather difficult. Now, the ethos of Climate Kick is innovating for low-carbon prosperity and climate resilience. We are a network of approximately 110 partners that goes across Europe. We come together in 5 co-location centres, which are in the UK, France, Switzerland, Germany, and the Netherlands. But we actually extend much more deeply into Europe via what we call our Regional Innovation and Implementation Centres, or the RIC. I'm sorry for all the acronyms. But the RIC, in addition to being in Germany and the UK, are also in Spain, Italy, Poland, and Hungary. And I shall tell you more about those in a moment. We identify and respond to the challenges of climate change. And thinking of crises, it's not quite like war, but climate change is producing a lot of crises for us to respond to. Our activities cross boundaries, we cross sector, we cross geography, and we cross discipline. And our community is long-lasting. Our first agreement is for 7 years, so it's long-lasting and it's integrated. Excellence is paramount. We have top universities, research institutes, big business, many SMEs, and also regional and local government. And in fact, the most frequent additions, because our partnership is growing rapidly, the most recent additions are the SMEs and the regional governments. So we actually bring together not just 3 sides of an innovation triangle, but 4 sides of the pyramid. So we do have the government there. And we talk about the innovation pyramid. We integrate those 4 sectors with our 3 pillars, which are innovation and pathfinder, education and entrepreneurship. Now, this looks linear, but it really isn't a linear model. It's just very difficult to draw something that's not. But at the very left-hand end for you on the slide, the ecosystem, this is not funded by the KIC. This is what's present in our partners. It's the knowledge and the expertise in our business partners and in our universities. And what we do is then to pick from that. It's been likened, if you think of the fairy tale of looking at a pond full of frogs and kissing the frogs to see which one becomes a prince. So Pathfinder identifies the markets that we are aiming our princes at, and innovation is for the development of products and services. Ultimately, it's for the delivery of marketable products and marketable services. But wrapped around that is education, which provides entrepreneurs all the way through that innovation pipeline. And you'll hear a lot more about those this evening and tomorrow. And then entrepreneurship. That pillar provides incubation, it provides support, and business development, and very much business growth. So more startups and SMEs on a really steep growth trajectory. Our co-location centres and the regions are absolutely crucial as the hubs where we integrate all our actors and where we integrate all the activities. So a co-location centre has a physical being. It's a physical centre. Our main ones are based in top universities, but we also have some that are not, that have specialised campuses, trying to think of the right word for them. But whatever their physical basis, the co-location centres bring people together. So for education, entrepreneurship, and innovation, but also for knowledge exchange, for hot desking, coffee shop, and ideas marketplaces where we bring our partners together to discuss in focus areas where they exchange ideas, come together, develop innovative projects. The regions are very different. As I've said, we have 6 of them, and there's a key role there for the public bodies, for the city councils and the regional councils. And they form a platform that really tells us what the challenges are on the ground. If you're a city mayor and you have a carbon target that you have to reach, but you don't know how to reach it, you need to be in touch with innovators who can help you. So we have very special regions because they're regions that want to make a difference, that want to combat the challenge of climate change. Not only that, they give us the test beds. So when the co-location centres have generated innovation, then we use the regions as the test beds, and also collaboration between regions and co-location centres helps us to actually bring the new ideas to market and to put them into practice. We're run like a business. We have an assembly with a governing board and a CEO, which is me, and then I have directors of my 3 pillars and the 5 co-location centres and the regions. So what are our major target themes, thinking of the discussion that's just gone on and how there's a big need for focus and not spreading oneself too thinly? Well, our major target themes, broad themes, are climate measurement, cities, water, and production systems. But those are all extremely broad. And what we have spent quite a lot of time in the last few months doing is looking at the real challenges of climate change. What is the demand? Looking at a challenge-driven approach to innovation. And we've developed 8 what we call challenge platforms that cover areas like industrial symbiosis, the bioeconomy, sustainable city systems, transforming the built environment, greenhouse gas monitoring, climate services, land and water engineering and adaptation. So that's the 7, but the 8th is extremely important, and that's called making transitions happen. So that's saying, okay, we have these terrific innovations of technology and of policy, but actually, how do we put them into practice? So just to summarize, then, we're a networked community. It's long-term, it's stable, and we have a portfolio of partners that go across all 4 sectors. So the 4 sectors give us our innovation pyramid. We have innovation push, but we connect it with the demand pull. We have various models that we will talk to you about. We accelerate the route to market from innovation to the demand side using what we call a climate market accelerator. And we have a model of sheltered innovation, which brings SMEs together with big business. So you have a big business with a lot of innovation challenges and in SMEs with many innovative ideas. So the KIC has a toolkit via its innovation, education, and entrepreneurship pillars. It creates climate entrepreneurs and catalyzes innovation, products, services, and culture. The 8 platforms provide a focus for strategic cross-KIC development, and it helps us to integrate those 3 pillars. They're challenge-driven, and they give us European leadership in those areas. And then the co-location centres provide the focus for implementation and delivery, the hub of connectivity. They're the centre of knowledge, and they're what you can think of as the launch pads or the landing pads for bright ideas, and it's where we undertake the innovation pipeline. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. You'll see that we take learning very seriously, so we would speed up with the next 2 speakers. And the next one is then Willem Jonker. I don't want to spoil your coffee break. I already committed myself. You have the floor.
You always tell us to speed up. Okay, I was very glad to hear that a person in the previous panel said that innovation in ICT was not that easy as he thought it, because many people to me always say also, what's so difficult about innovation in ICT. So you buy a laptop, you buy very good pizzas, you develop an application for the iPhone, and all you have to do is then look at your bank account and transfer money to travel agencies to live the good life. It's a little bit more difficult. What's going on in ICT? ICT is actually penetrating everybody's life, and that generates a lot of opportunities. Our vision is that the main opportunities in ICT innovation is exactly in this blending of the physical and the digital world. And sensor and actuation technology, very important in that context. And if such a merger is happening, then you very often see a lot of opportunities for business creation. Of course, what's also very important with ICT is that people are educated about the possibilities of ICT. It's of course in general important to have education with innovation, because innovation is new, meets resistance, so you have to teach people on how to absorb these innovations. But especially in ICT, we run the risk that we have a non-inclusive society, where part of our society is just not connected, literally, or if they are connected, are not able to treat the technology in a way others can do. And the final thing, of course, and then we come to this knowledge triangle, is research. A constant source of innovation, and ICT, what you actually see going on, is a shift from ICT as a kind of enabler to enabled ICT. Very concrete example. Most of you probably have a car navigation system. These car navigation systems are very useful because they replace actually a physical map. But they are not very intelligent. They are intelligent to a certain extent that they know where traffic jams are, and they give you instructions of how to avoid them. The only problem is the 1,000 cars around you get exactly the same instructions, so they move from one traffic jam into another. If you look the other way around, just imagine that you would be able to have a cloud computing system that gets, the very moment you type your destination information into your car navigation system, this information, it then knows for the next hour, hour and a half, where everybody will be going, and it knows exactly what the traffic will be in the next hour and a half, and it can give very, very good directions to individual cars to really take the right directions. So that means that now the car has become an element in a huge information system that does traffic management in the cloud. So that is the paradigm shift we're facing. A few things about what we are set out to do. We want to create economic growth, but also to enhance quality of life. That's why we're addressing societal challenges. What you need is to create, grow, and renew companies, techniques, methods. In order to do that, you need money, you need skills, and you need markets, but also you need knowledge and talents, and that's actually the ingredients for the knowledge triangle, because the education will give you the talent and the skills, the research will give you the knowledge, and the business will give you the money and the markets. It's a little bit simplified, but roughly that is what our European-wide ecosystem is doing. What's very key to our approach is that we want to be a catalyst. It has been mentioned before, the amount of money available at a European level is relatively small if you see what is available in European countries in R&D, what is in structural funds, and so on. So we only can be successful if we act clever on existing things. So we are looking for pockets of excellence and build on top of that. These are the kind of tools that we are using. You have to read them from our website because I don't have the time to go into them. But the only thing I want to show is that we consider this as our toolbox, and we apply it, and we constantly renew the toolbox and adopt it based on the experience we have with applying these tools to the projects that we are having at hand. Just like Mary said, we are run like a company. We have a management team, we have a management agenda, and we have a certain theme. And the theme last year was Get Organized and Recognized, because it was our first year of existence, and this year our theme is Invest for Impact. We work along so-called action lines, and an action line is a portfolio of opportunity, and that's also opportunities. That's also the way it is managed. It's not a mini FP7 project or whatever. It may be independent opportunities that are just managed and judged on their impact in the market, finally. We have our annual report downloadable from our website. You will see the kind of results we have. It's just an idea. It's not so much about the numbers, but the kind of results we deliver. And you see that we are clearly focusing on innovation. That means that we are focusing on standardization, we focus on patents, we are focusing on creating companies and so on. We will have separate sessions on education, research and business. I will say only a few words. In education, we start with upgrading our traditional education system to entrepreneurial master and doctoral schools, and based on that we will enter the area of lifelong education as a next step after we have established our brand in this area. The master school is an important thing. We are launching it in September and we are already being recognized in China. I don't know what the Chinese reads, but I hope it's positive. The business strategy is actually focusing at 3 different players in the ecosystem. It's at startups, it's at SMEs, and it's at large companies. Yes, also at large companies, because large companies also need innovation. They do it in different way, and there are different needs for those groups. You see it on the slides. This is a very complicated picture that I will not explain, but this is actually our innovation funnel, where you have the low selective phase in the beginning, where we take up the opportunities from the resources and the environment we have, and then drive things to the market. And this is done by a team, and this is the number of startups and companies that are currently being under construction. What's also very important is to align with other bodies in Europe, and this is, for example, a discussion we had with the European Investment Fund, and I think Richard, I saw him somewhere. Yeah, we'll have a talk later on. It's very important that we align and work together. And that brings me to the next slide. Alignment with the European programs is very important for us. We're doing this with several projects, and one of the things I want to bring to your attention is a memorandum of collaboration that we did sign last week in the presence of Commissioner Kroes and Vasiliou, and where we see that EIT is recognized as a complementary tool in the landscape of European R&D instruments. This was a very important event. You can read on our website the details. We also work together with ITEA, which is a somewhat different flavor, because ITEA is very much about linking countries in Europe. And that's what we're doing there. We do not only align at a European level, but also at a national level. And what you actually see on a micro scale in a KIC is a kind of alignment of instruments at European and national level. Because in our activities, we bring together national and European initiatives in so-called carrier projects on which we catalyze. And that's very effective. And it could maybe even serve as a model for the whole European layer instruments, R&D instruments. And I had some discussion also with Robert-Jan Smits on this topic, because this alignment of the instruments in the European landscape is very important in order to prevent overlap. This poor guy is no longer in office because we had a government change in France, but this is the previous Minister of Research and Education in France who invested 6 million into our KIC in France, in our France node. And we are very well aligned also with the German programs, and I only show you one example, which is the Software Campus, which is really supported by Chancellor Merkel. And she's really very supportive to the KIC, because you see her on the picture, and she is really showing the knowledge triangle. So it's really a strong supporter of EIT. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Willem. You really told us something new about interpretation. Next, and last but not least, Diego Pavia, who is the CEO of InnoEnergy.
Thank you, José Manuel. Good afternoon. So I will make a small presentation because tomorrow we have again a plenary sessions. We'll cover more in detail what KIC Energy is about. So just a few messages. First, a reminder of who we are and what we do. About what we do, that's our mission statement. And the key word of this mission statement is engine. Entrepreneurship is important, innovation is important, sustainable energy is important, but engine. We want to be the most performant engine in terms of innovation entrepreneurship. So the ones that when you input 100, you get as much as possible compared to the other engines existing across. And as you can see, the shareholders of the company, they have committed for 7 years. So it's not a try, it's a commitment, where they put not only the money, but also the resources. And in the fields of what? Of energy, I will cover that in more detail tomorrow, but in the 6 fields of sustainable energy that are depicted in the slide. If you have to retain 7 keywords of geek energy, the first one is, I will not try to define what has been a discussion for the last 1 hour, half hour, is innovation. For us, innovation is transforming the knowledge we capitalize, that has been capitalized into money. So research has his steps, and then comes innovation. And for us, for Geek Energy, innovation is transforming knowledge into money. Then in the next keywords, you'll find also some of the concepts that were discussed previously about this market pull, is identification of the customer need that will drive the innovation chain. It's about excellence. And as a company, a very important word for us is sustainability. So whatever we do, we should, in the medium term, be independent from the seed money that the EIT has put on the table to allow the engine to start. Sustainability. So we are not hooked to the seed money forever. And you will see tomorrow what are the mechanisms that are put in place to make it happen. And the last one is run as a company. And as a company or executives, if we do it right, the better for us. If we do it wrong, then we're expelled. And that's very healthy when you run a company as a company. So some results of the last 15 months in the 3 main work streams: in education, in innovation technology projects, and in business creation. And in the breakout sessions, Elena Bo will describe much more in detail the last part. The ventures we are today nurturing their accelerator. Torsten Fransson will elaborate on the education bit, where we want to create the game changers of the future. And Frank Dietrich will elaborate on technology projects. And we deliver in those. I will not extend myself again in those outputs in the last 15 months. But the outputs are also meant, and mainly meant, for creating an impact. In education, we want to create the CXOs of the future, the top researchers of the future, the game changers of the future. And for innovation projects and business creation, we want to impact with growth and competitiveness for the European industry. This is our goal. A couple of sanity checks. We might think we do things right, but it's much better when the external world tells you that you are doing things right. And take an example of some of those gentlemen are around the room, so you can interact with them. Is the Global Health Challenge, is a worldwide challenge where Mr. Clinton puts a challenge for groups to solve it all across the world. And it's a group of students, master students, that create a solution, that's a business and technical solution for a given challenge. This group of Geek Energy master students, they came second worldwide. They were grilled along the way by different juries, and they beat people like Stanford, like MIT, like Cambridge. So we are really creating the game changers. The outside world is telling us that our product is competing and winning against already established for many years very bright business schools and junior schools. The second proof, and last proof, that we're going to share with you today. We started with only 10 industries in our partnership. Today, we have 95 in only 15 months without doing any promotion. So people come to us because industries, SMEs and big companies, they see that the way we do things helps them to be more competitive. That's again a sanity check from the outside world. Finally, you see here the executive team, and in circle in red, the 3 directors from Geek Energy that in the breakout sessions will give you more details on education, business creation, and innovation projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the 3 speakers. There is no room for questions and answers here. This is just an appetizer to open your hunger. But we start with a coffee break, and later you would join these 3 splinter meetings where we would go about the 3 agendas that we are energizing with the KICs. So it's about the added value that we provide at the EIT level. I hope that you would enjoy that, and I will see you tomorrow.